Here's part 2 of GeoGuessr tips for every country. We're picking up where we left off last time and we're heading over to Denmark. In Denmark, you're going to find these white bollards with an orange reflector and an extra strip on top. You're also going to find these signs very commonly held up by a metallic pole, and the street ending is V. Let's head over to the Baltic countries and let's start off with Estonia. There are many different things you can look at in order to find out in which one of the Baltic countries you are. First off, we have the signs. In Estonia, the sign does not have a white border, it's just red all the way to the end. Estonia also tends to use some shorter dashes on the outside of the road, like we've seen in Sweden. The bollard in Estonia is a cylindrical bollard, which often has an orange reflector. And last but not least, the kilometer marker. In Estonia, the kilometer marker is perpendicular to the road. Let's now look at Latvia. You'll notice about Latvian signs that they do have a white border, in contrast to Estonian signs, and also that they have a very thick red border. If we head over to the kilometer marker, you'll notice that it is facing parallel to the road. Also, the Latvian bollards are very thin plastic bollards, and they often have white reflectors on both sides. The third and final Baltic country is Lithuania. In Lithuania, the signs also have a white border, and the red border is of normal thickness. The Latvian bollard looks like this. They have an orange reflector and they have this non-rounded top, and the kilometer marker is triangular. Let's head over to the Netherlands. This is the most typical round I could find for the Netherlands. You'll notice that the white border on the signs is surrounded by an extra red border. You can also find these signs where the initial red border goes all the way to the edge. These are place name signs, and they can very commonly be found at intersections and are held up by a signpost with a blue and white striped pattern. In the Netherlands, the license plates on vehicles are yellow, both at the back and at the front. And last but not least, in the Netherlands, you're almost always going to have bike lanes next to the road. Now we're heading over to Belgium. An easy way to find out that you're in Belgium is by looking at the license plate. You'll notice that it has the blue EU strip on the left and the text is red. The street signs in Belgium very commonly have the place name on it. And a good clue for region guessing Belgium is by looking at the language. If you have both Dutch and French, you're most likely going to be on the border of Flanders and Wallonia. The third and smallest country of the Benelux is Luxembourg. There's a lot of different clues to find out that you're in Luxembourg. Just like in the Netherlands, the vehicles use yellow front plates and yellow back plates. These are very typical street signs in Luxembourg, and you can also find this type of signage in Luxembourg, either on yellow signs or white signs surrounded by metallic poles. They often have the street numbers and multiple languages, since in Luxembourg they speak Luxembourgish, French, German, and even a bit of Portuguese. Now let's take a look at Germany. Compared to other countries, Germany has very limited Google Street View coverage, as you can see in this image. Let's take a look at a few city-specific tips. First off, Berlin. In Berlin, the street signs are white with this black font on them, and they often have this extra little sign below them. In Hamburg, you're going to find these street signs. They're blue with a white strip. In Dortmund, you'll find these. They're blue with a white border, and they also have an extra sign at the bottom, but it's slightly bigger. And in Munich, you'll find these. They are quite similar to the Dortmund ones, but they don't have an extra sign at the bottom. There's also a very good tip for Frankfurt. It's a city in Germany that has a lot of high-rise buildings. So if you ever see a city skyline like this, you're most likely going to be in Frankfurt. Let's now head over to France. There's a lot of good clues to find out that you're in France. First of all, this bollard. It's quite a big bollard with a big red reflector. We've also got these poles. They are ladder poles and they have these sections in them. Next up, the signs in France. They often have big signs with an extra sign below them. And a good region guessing tip is looking at the language. You can see on this sign that there are multiple languages, and there's also this K, which you don't typically see very much in French. And whenever you see language like this and these Ks, you're most likely going to be in Brittany or Bretagne. Let's now head over to a small principality on the southern coast of France, Monaco. Monaco has a very distinct look. It's basically in a bay surrounded by mountains, and there's a lot of these buildings. They're mainly all hotels and some apartment buildings, and most typical of Monaco is the harbor with the large number of boats and yachts. We're now heading over to Andorra, a small principality on the border between France and Spain, located in the Pyrenees. There's a few easy ways to find out that you're in Andorra. First off, this snow pole. It's a wooden snow pole with yellow and red markers. Also very typical for Andorra is the architecture with dark brick. Let's now take a look at Spain. We've covered a lot of bollards and signs in this video, so let's take a look at even more bollards and signs. First off, the Spanish bollard. It is a white bollard with a black section in the middle with an orange reflector. On the back of it, the reflectors are white. In Spain, you'll also commonly find reflectors in the guardrail, and they are orange. The signs in Spain have a very thick red border that goes all the way to the end. Typical place name signage in Spain looks like this, with a road number, a black border, and some bigger place names on them. Last but not least, for Spain, a good clue are the pedestrian crossings, since they're very unique. You'll only find these in Andorra and Spain, and they have 8 stripes. Next up, Portugal. Portugal can look quite similar to Spain, so here are some easy ways to find out that you're in Portugal. First off, the bollard uses a white reflector rather than an orange reflector that you'll see in Spain. The signs in Portugal don't have the red border going to the edge. As you can see, they are surrounded by a thin white border. The poles in Portugal are these ladder poles and they have holes in the middle of them. And last but not least, in Portugal you'll find this type of signage that is quite different from the ones in Spain. Let's head back over to the east side of Europe and take a look at Poland. There's a lot of easy ways to find out that you're in Poland. First off, the bollard. They use a white bollard with a red section in the middle. On the backside of the bollard you'll find a white reflector. The domain for Poland is .pl. A lot of the roads in Poland have double white lines in the middle, and very unique to Poland is this yellow sign with a very thin red border. The signs indicating place names in Poland look like this. And a tip I find very cool myself is for a city in the north of Poland, Gdansk. It has this very typical Dutch architecture. And let's end off this video with Ukraine. The easiest way to find out that you're in Ukraine is by looking at the car, which for the largest part of the coverage is red, either with or without an antenna. You can also look at the script, which is Cyrillic, and the general road quality is quite poor. This was part number 2 of GeoGuessr tips for every country. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want to be notified when part 3 goes live.